Welcome to PsyDactic, Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Board Study Edition. Now that is a mouthful, so let's just call it CAPS Edition for short. I am Dr. O'Leary, and as I speak these words, I am a Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Fellow in the National Capital Region. I'm also the host of the podcast PsyDactic, which I started during my second year in residency. This podcast is part of the expanding PsyDactic family. It's my attempt to both study for my board exams and also create something that I could then listen to on my way to, well, wherever. I hope to be able to publish at least one episode per week, on average, covering all of the major topics on the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology's content outline for the CAPS board exam. But I'm starting with what seems to be the most high yield. Before you commit yourself to this podcast, I want to consent you to a few things. The first is that I do not have an editorial staff, so what you get here is pure me, my resources. Everything here, even if it's masquerading as a fact, is really just my packaged version of that fact. It's the version that I believe and wanted you to hear. I claim full responsibility for these opinions myself, and they should not be mistaken for the opinions of anyone else or any institution, whether that institution currently employs me, or just tolerates me enough to let me visit, or just to hang out in the parking lot. The second major thing is that this project represents my first major attempt at using AI to help me create content. Now, I've dabbled before, but what you're getting here is a tad bit more than a dabble. My basic process is this. I generally approach creating content by asking an AI to generate a general outline of the concepts that I need to cover. Then I go through a process of checking and editing the content for accuracy and also completeness. I then might ask for the content to be generated in different ways to see what I can get. I have been learning more and more how to construct prompts that increase the chance that I'm going to get complete and accurate answers, and that I'll get them in similar formats. I guess you could say that the AI has been training me on how to make it better. Before finishing and recording any episode, I do a last comb through just to try to catch any mistakes. There's no way that I'm going to catch them all, so if you want to let me know what I've missed, please go to PsyDactic.com, that's PSYDACTIC.com, and fill out a form there. You can be a part of making this better. I also want to make a statement about the fraught ethical and practical implications of using AI for this project. There are many. I'm just going to cover a few. AI, large language models especially, are only as good as their architecture, their programming, and the training data that they get. And much of that data has implicit biases, whether they be racial, ethnic, gendered, cultural, political, national, etc. There's a lot of them. Also, and probably more problematic from a practical point of view, by producing content that an AI contributed to, I might also be helping to train future AI models on partially AI-generated content, which can contribute to a few more problems. One of these is what I think of as amplification. AI learning from AI can amplify the errors and the biases within AI models. So imagine sending a picture through like a filter in Adobe Photoshop and then through another filter, or that same filter again, and then through another filter. What comes out at the end will look very different than what went in. And it might have these really thick lines around whatever parts of the image that the AI thought was relevant, amplifying their importance in the composition. So that's kind of my metaphor for that. Also, training AI on AI-generated content can cause model collapse. Now, the metaphor I use for this is like feedback into a microphone. What ends up being produced if this process of AI feeding on AI continues is likely to be nonsensical, cacophonous gobbledygook. Now, that being said, I implore you as the listener to be highly critical and suspicious of this content. It would serve you well to not be compelled by the illusion of knowledge and quit asking questions because it appears that everything has already been answered. Now, I myself am going to strive to raise doubts as I discuss each topic. I mean, doubts about what humans say. And by the time I present it, I hopefully have gotten rid of all my doubts about the AI. I don't want you to get the impression that this content is, by itself, authoritative. It's intended to be a tool to help CAPS fellows get through their boards with substantially less stress. If you think your friends or colleagues will like this, I am on all of the major streaming platforms, and you can also go to PsyDactic.buzzsprout.com for my original podcast and my RSS feeds. So, cheerio, toodaloo, and happy listening. I am Dr. O'Leary, and this has been the first episode of PsyDactic CAPS Edition.